I will never forget the night everything changed. It was past midnight, and the house was silent except for the faint hum of the refrigerator downstairs. My husband, Michael, was asleep beside me, his breathing steady and calm. I had been tossing and turning for hours, restless with thoughts that refused to leave me alone. That was when I heard it, the faint vibration of a phone. At first, I thought it was mine. But when I reached for the nightstand, nothing was there. The sound came again, softer, muffled. I followed it like a moth chasing a flame, my pulse pounding in my ears. Slowly, I opened Michael's side drawer. And there it was. A phone. Not his usual one. My hands trembled as I lifted it out. My throat went dry, my chest heavy. I pressed the side button, and the screen lit up with a message. The words cut through me like glass. I miss you already. I cannot stop thinking about last night. It felt like my heart was yanked out of my chest. I could not breathe. My knees buckled, and I almost dropped the phone. My husband, the man I trusted with my whole being, the father of our children, was hiding a secret life just a drawer away from me. Before I continue, I want to take a moment to appreciate you, my viewers. To all my subscribers, thank you for supporting this channel and keeping it alive with your love. To my new and returning viewers who have not yet subscribed, I cannot wait for you to hit that button. Your support is the fuel that powers this channel and gives me the energy to keep telling these stories. Do not forget to engage and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters here. I froze, standing there in the dim glow of the screen. 1,000 thoughts collided in my mind all at once. Was this real? Was I overreacting? Could this message mean something else? I wanted desperately for it to be a mistake. But curiosity, fear, and anger pushed me further. I scrolled. Message after message, line after line, my heart shattered. They were not just casual chats. They were intimate, emotional, sometimes even romantic. There were good mornings and good nights, confessions of missing each other, promises of stolen moments together. Every word felt like a knife. I looked over at Michael. His face was peaceful, like a man with no secrets, while mine burned with betrayal. I wanted to scream, to wake him up, to demand answers right there. But my voice caught in my throat. Instead, I slipped the phone back and crawled into bed, lying stiff on my side. My eyes stared at the ceiling, wet with tears I dared not let him hear. My mind replayed every message over and over until sleep finally dragged me down. The next morning, I tried to act normal, but I felt like an actress trapped in the wrong script. Michael kissed my cheek, poured coffee, and chatted about his work schedule like nothing was wrong. I studied him, every word, every glance, searching for the cracks I had missed all along. It was in the way he kept his phone close. Not the one in the drawer, but his regular phone. He checked it more often than usual, tilting the screen away from me. He avoided long eye contact. He smiled, but it did not reach his eyes. And I kept replaying that secret phone in my mind. A war raged inside me. Part of me wanted to confront him immediately, to slam the drawer open in front of his face and watch his lies crumble. But another part of me was terrified of what the truth might confirm. What if this destroyed us completely? What if our kids had to grow up in a broken home? I carried this storm quietly for days. Every glance at Michael felt different, tainted by suspicion. Every time his phone buzzed, I felt my chest tighten. At night, when he held me, I wondered if those same arms had been wrapped around someone else. The breaking point came one Friday evening. Michael had left his jacket on the couch while he helped the kids upstairs. I slipped my hand into the pocket almost without thinking. And there it was again, the secret phone. This time, I did not hesitate. I opened it, and a flood of messages rushed in. Some of them were mundane, about meeting times and places. But others were so raw and personal that I had to sit down before my legs gave out. I love how you make me feel alive. I wish I could fall asleep in your arms tonight. She does not understand you like I do. She That was me. My name had been reduced to a shadow in their stolen words. I closed the phone, hands shaking, rage bubbling inside me. It was no longer suspicion. It was reality. My husband was having an affair, and the proof was written in the palm of my hand. That night, when he came back downstairs, I stared at him in silence. He looked at me, confused, asking if something was wrong. I wanted to throw the phone at him, to scream until my voice broke. But the words stuck in my throat. Instead, I swallowed my pain and forced a smile. The confrontation would come later. But in that moment, I realized something chilling. Michael had been living a double life, and I had only just stepped into the shadows of it. That night I lay awake again, staring at the ceiling. But this time, it was not just betrayal I felt. It was a fire. A need to uncover everything. To dig until there was nothing left to hide. To face the truth, no matter how much it burned. And so, my story began. The days after I found Michael's secret phone felt like walking barefoot over broken glass. Every step, every breath, was filled with sharp pain I could not escape. I moved through the house like a ghost, pretending everything was normal for the sake of our children. But inside, I was burning alive. Michael still acted like the devoted husband and father. He cooked breakfast on Sunday, kissed the kids on their foreheads, even asked me about my day. But I could see it now, the cracks, the shadows. He avoided eye contact for too long, kept his phone within arm's reach, and slipped away for work calls that lasted far too long. I knew I could not live like this, half in the light, half in the dark. So I started watching him. I became an investigator in my own home. Every detail mattered: when he left the room, how often he showered, how quickly he checked his phone when it buzzed. I memorized his routines like a detective trailing a suspect. One evening, after tucking the kids into bed, I walked into the living room to find Michael on the couch, scrolling on his regular phone. I tried to sneak a glance at his screen, but he tilted it away in one quick, fluid motion. "Who are you texting?" I asked casually, my voice steady even though my chest was pounding. He looked up, his face calm, almost too calm. "Just work stuff. Nothing important. Work stuff." At 9:30 at night. My stomach tightened, but I forced a smile. "You work too hard," I whispered, kissing his cheek before walking away. On the inside, though, I was screaming. The secret phone became my compass. I waited until Michael showered, until he went for a run, until he left his jacket unattended. Each time, I grabbed it and scrolled, uncovering more of the life he was hiding from me. The messages painted a picture of a woman I had never met but suddenly hated with every fiber of my being. Her name was Allison. She was bold in her words, sending photos of sunsets, selfies with playful captions, and long paragraphs about how she wished she could steal him away. Michael responded in ways that gutted me. "You are the only one who makes me feel free. She would never understand what we have." That sheet stabbed me again and again. I was not just being cheated on physically. I was being erased. One Friday afternoon, Michael told me he had to stay late at the office. The lie rolled off his tongue so smoothly that it almost fooled me, almost. I kissed him goodbye, my heart a storm inside my chest. Then, instead of sitting at home drowning in silence, I made a decision. I grabbed my keys and followed him. The drive was surreal. My hands clutched the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white. I kept a few cars behind him, my body shaking with fear and fury. Instead of going toward his office, he drove 20 minutes in the opposite direction, into a quiet suburban neighborhood. I parked at a distance and watched. My husband stepped out of the car, adjusting his jacket nervously. A woman appeared at the doorway of a house, smiling, her hair loose around her shoulders. Allison. I knew it was her. They hugged. Not a polite hug. Not a friendly hug. A slow, lingering embrace that belonged to lovers, not strangers. My stomach twisted violently, but I could not look away. I sat frozen in the car, tears streaming down my face, my heart cracking into pieces I could never glue back together. I stayed long enough to see him follow her inside, his hand brushing the small of her back like he used to do with me. That night, I drove home on autopilot, my mind numb. The lies no longer lived in text messages. They had faces. They had arms and lips and places where my husband sought refuge that was not with me. When Michael came home later, his tie loose and his smile tired, I stared at him like he was a stranger. He kissed me softly and whispered, "Sorry I am late. The office has been overwhelming." Overwhelming. That word nearly made me laugh out loud. Instead, I bit my tongue so hard it almost bled. The confrontation could not wait any longer. The next night, I decided to test him. We were in bed, the room dark except for the glow of the bedside lamp. I turned to him, my voice careful, as though I were speaking to a child. "Michael, do you think we are happy?" He shifted uncomfortably. "Of course we are." "Why would you ask that?" I looked him straight in the eye. "Because sometimes I feel like you are hiding something from me." For the briefest moment, his expression faltered. His eyes darted away before he forced a laugh. "You are imagining things. I would never hide anything from you." But I had seen it. That flicker of panic. That crack in his mask. Lying beside him, I realized something important. The affair was not just a betrayal of our marriage. It was a test of who I was, what I could endure, and whether I had the strength to face him head-on. The web of lies had spread wide enough to catch me in its threads, but I knew it was time to start tearing them down, one by one. I was done being silent. And the next time I held that secret phone in my hand, I was going to make sure Michael had no choice but to face the truth. I will never forget the night it finally happened. The night the truth was dragged from the shadows into the harsh light of reality. It was a Tuesday, quiet, almost ordinary, but inside me, a storm raged that refused to be contained any longer. Michael had fallen asleep on the couch, his phone lying just out of reach. Not his work phone. Not the one I used to call him when he forgot the milk. The other one. The secret one. My hand trembled as I picked it up. The screen lit up, and there it was, a fresh message from Allison. "I miss you. When can I see you again?" The timestamp was only minutes old. My chest heaved, my pulse roared in my ears, and suddenly, I knew. This was it. No more silence. No more pretending. I shook him awake, the phone still in my hand. "Michael," I said, my voice steady even though my insides were shattering. "We need to talk." He blinked, confused, then saw the phone. His face drained of color instantly. "Where did you get that?" His voice cracked like glass breaking. I held it up between us like evidence in a courtroom. "You mean this? The phone you keep hidden like a loaded gun under the bed? The one filled with messages to another woman?" He opened his mouth, but I cut him off before he could feed me another lie. "Do not you dare deny it, Michael. I have seen it all. Every word. Every photo. Every lie. You told her I would never understand. You told her I was just your wife, but she was your freedom. Do you know what it feels like to read those words? To watch the man I gave my life to erase me with every message?" For the first time in our marriage, Michael did not have a rehearsed answer. He sat there, staring at me like a child caught stealing, his lips trembling, his hands twitching at his sides. Finally, he whispered, "I never meant to hurt you." The words, so small, so fragile, made me laugh bitterly. Never meant to hurt me? You built an entire second life behind my back, Michael. Do you realize what you have done to me? To our children? To the vows we made? The air between us was heavy, filled with every betrayal, every broken promise. He buried his face in his hands, his shoulders shaking. And for a moment, I thought he was angry. But when he lifted his face again, I saw tears streaming down his cheeks. It was not anger. It was despair. "I am sorry," he choked out. "I am so sorry. I do not know why I did it. I was selfish. I was stupid." Allison made me feel young again, like I was not just a husband and a father. But it was not real. None of it was real. "You are my wife. You are my life. Please do not take our family away from me." His words sliced me in two. I wanted to scream, to throw the phone at his face, to run and never look back. But another part of me, the part that still remembered the man who once held my hand through labor, who built cribs and read bedtime stories, was paralyzed. How do you reconcile the man you loved with the man who betrayed you? How do you find forgiveness when your heart is still bleeding? The fight lasted for hours. Tears, accusations, silence, and finally, the ugly truth spilled out between us. Michael admitted he had been seeing Allison for nearly 6 months. He swore it was never about love, just escape. He begged for forgiveness, swore he would cut her off immediately, swore he would do anything to repair the wreckage. But I could not just say yes. Not yet. "Do you understand what you have destroyed?" I asked quietly, exhausted from crying. "Trust is not something you can glue back together in one night." He nodded, his face pale, his body slumped in defeat. "Then let me earn it. Day by day. However long it takes." The days that followed were not easy. The wounds were raw, the scars still forming. I watched him like a hawk, waiting for another slip, another lie. But for the first time in months, his eyes stayed on me. He deleted the secret phone in front of me, blocked Allison, and even handed me every password he owned. But rebuilding was not just about his actions. It was about my choice. I stood at a crossroads, hold on to the pain, or choose to fight for our family. And as I prayed through the tears at night, I realized something powerful. Forgiveness is not about erasing what happened. It is about choosing not to let betrayal define the rest of your life. Weeks later, we sat together on the porch, the kids playing in the yard. Michael reached for my hand, hesitant, as though afraid I would pull away. I let him hold it. "I know I do not deserve this," he said softly. "But I promise, I will never give you another reason to doubt me again." I looked at him, the man who had broken me, the man who was now desperately trying to rebuild what he shattered. And for the first time, I saw not just my husband's failure, but his humanity. We were both flawed. We were both in need of grace. The choice to stay was not easy. It still is not. But I chose it. Not because the betrayal disappeared, but because I refused to let it define the rest of our story. Marriage is not about perfection. It is about forgiveness, faith, and the courage to believe in second chances. And as I held his hand that evening, I whispered, "Do not waste this chance, Michael. Do not waste us." Looking back now, I realize something: betrayal can either break you or build you. And while the pain almost consumed me, it also pushed me to find strength I never knew I had. For anyone listening to my story, I want you to remember this: trust can be rebuilt. Love can be restored. But it takes courage, humility, and above all, faith in God's power to heal what we cannot. My marriage is not perfect. My scars remain. But every day we choose each other again, and that is where true love lives.